Good evening, I'm Asha Tomlinson. Tonight, the last weekend before Election Day, and the parties are making their final critical push. Campaign stop after campaign stop in battleground ridings, with both frontrunners warning against splitting the vote.
The Liberal Party is the only party that can stop the Conservatives.
If people vote for anything other than the Conservative Party of Canada for that change, they're voting for Justin Trudeau.
What do we want? Protect our campus! What do we want it? Now!
Outrage on the Western University campus amid multiple reports of sexual assault.
It was really shocking to start seeing drunk girls being dragged home by sober guys, and we had to intervene with that.
A TikTok trend promoting books.
I realized I could combine ice cream cakes and reading.
And why publishers are paying attention.
It's made us rethink an overall publishing strategy.
Hopeful news about an endangered pot of whales in BC.
It's really exciting to, the southern residents are iconic on our coast.
Why scientists think there's about to be a baby boom. This is The National. It has been 34 days of the rush, rancor, and uncertainty of a pandemic election. But on the other side of this weekend, Canadians go to the polls, and it now comes down to final arguments.
There's a lot of people in this country who are angry at Mr. Trudeau.
Mr. O'Toole wants to bring us back to Mr. Harper.
Mr. Trudeau had 6 years. If he wanted to do any things he promises now, why didn't he do them in the 6 years?
But it's not only about message, they're also focusing on individual ridings, where a handful of votes could make all the difference. Ashley Burke is following the Liberal campaign, which is targeting not just its own base, but also NDP voters.
During the final push of a close race, Justin Trudeau focusing his attention on progressive voters.
That also brings us to this moment in the election campaign when progressives across the country are finding themselves having to make a choice.
Trudeau still hitting a central campaign theme, that Conservative leader Erin O'Toole is a threat to a progressive agenda.
And we know the Liberal Party is the only party that can stop the Conservatives and form a progressive government.
But at campaign stops in southern Ontario today, Trudeau also playing defense against the NDP.
So I am calling on all of you, progressives across London, across the country.
Trudeau trying to get NDP supporters to vote strategically, framing it as the only way to keep his main rival O'Toole out of office, and arguing his party now has the best plan when it comes to climate change, affordable housing and daycare.
There's no more dilemma. You can both vote for the best party to prevent O'Toole from becoming Prime Minister and the party with the best and most ambitious plan on the things that matter to progressives, and that, my friends, is the Liberal Party of Canada.
His hope to peel off NDP voters that could hurt the Liberals in some close ridings.
Perhaps a bit of desperation, certainly a bit of strategery, because it's necessary. But I think it's a result of the fact that maybe even in their internals, they are seeing that the NDP vote might be stickier this time.
Today, a progressive push coming from some star power in the U.S. Former U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton endorsing Trudeau. That move a day after former U.S. President Barack Obama did the same. There are just 2 full days of campaigning left. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Hamilton.
Trying to unify the progressive vote under one banner isn't a surprising election play for the Liberals. But Hannah Thibodeau's with the Conservatives, and right now they're dealing with potential vote splits on the right.
Conservative leader Erin O'Toole parked his campaign plane and will spend the last 3 days bussing around battleground Ontario. Of the 121 seats up for grabs in the province, the Conservatives held 34 in the last Parliament. This time, many are tight races.
We deserve change here. And if people vote for anything other than the Conservative Party of Canada for that change, they're voting for Justin Trudeau.
He's talking directly to voters who are thinking of the People's Party of Canada, like this one.
They're the only party with a different message.
O'Toole refused to even name the party or its leader, former Tory cabinet minister Maxime Bernier.
Canadians know the names. I'm not going to advertise them.
Polls are showing an uptick in support for the PPC, and it could cause a vote split on the right in some ridings, allowing the Liberals to come up the middle and remain in power.
Ontario is a tough area, and he's in here campaigning, and hopefully he can swing some votes, and we can take Ontario. Ontario is a difficult area for Conservatives right now, so we're hoping that we can do this.
Talking with a 99-year-old veteran, O'Toole remained determined.
The military guy in me, you fight till the end of the battle, right?
That's right, yes! Aaron O'Toole!
The PPC could make the battle more difficult for the Conservatives. Whether Bernier can translate his growing support into actual seats remains to be seen. Hannah Thibodeau, CBC News, St. Catharines, Ontario.
Now, unless things change radically over the weekend, one of those two parties, the Liberals or the Conservatives, will form the next government. So let's bring in Eric Grenier, the man behind CBC's poll tracker and the Writ. Eric, the Liberals and Conservatives are in this dead heat and will likely stay that way right up until the finish line. Here's where the polls stand tonight. So, Eric, what are the key things Trudeau and O'Toole need to do over the next 72 hours to win this election?
Well, there's not much left for them to do with so little time left in this election campaign. So the last few days are really all going to be about making sure that they can get their vote out and that those people who are still on the fence, that they can convince them to go out to the polls. Because if we look at where the trends have been going since the beginning of this campaign, the Liberals started with a big lead in the polls. The Conservatives were able to catch up, and for a few weeks, they were actually leading over the Conservatives. But both of the French and English language debates did really change the momentum, and the Liberals and the Conservatives have been neck and neck, really, for the last few days, and there hasn't really been any momentum for either party. So it seems unlikely that either of them could really change things over these last 72 hours.
Yeah, it really does seem to be a dead heat there. One of the big unknowns, the rise of the PPC and what that could look like on election night. What kind of impact could Maxime Bernier's party have on the Conservative vote?
That is a real question mark, because we haven't seen this party at these levels in the polls, 6%. We don't know what that electorate is going to look like on election night. So I think that there will be a lot of votes, not all of them, but a lot of votes that are going to be coming from the Conservatives. And if this ends up being a very close seat result, the Conservatives might be looking at some of those lost PPC votes and wondering what they could have done to prevent them from going over to Maxime Bernier.
All right, I know you're on it. We'll be watching. Eric, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so that's the latest on the two front runners, but of course they're not the only ones in this race. So let's check in with our reporters traveling with the other leaders as they chase down every last vote, starting with Olivia Stefanovich, who's with NDP leader Jagmeet Singh in Nova Scotia.
This last-minute addition to his schedule indicates Jagmeet Singh feels good about his chances of picking up seats in Atlantic Canada. Earlier, he paid one final campaign visit to Quebec, where he highlighted his environmental policies and outlined his priorities for working with or running a minority government.
We are the option for you if you want healthcare, if you want to fight the climate crisis, if you want to invest in healthcare. We are the ones for you.
Singh is pushing the NDP's progressive credentials as he tries to prevent support from drifting to the Liberals in the final days of the campaign. And his message got a boost with an endorsement from Bernie Sanders.
I'm Rafi Boudjikanian, traveling with Bloc leader Yves-François Blanchet. With his recent bump in the polls, Blanchet is feeling confident enough to set his conditions for supporting the next government, including a $28 billion annual increase in healthcare transfers and an extension of old age security top-ups. Big asks, but Blanchet denies he's threatening to trigger another election.
If Canadians and Quebecers decide to have another time a minority parliament, it means that the Prime Minister has the responsibility to make sure that he will have the required votes in order to go forward with a budget.
Blanchet also says he wants to meet with party leaders after the election. Until then, he'll keep campaigning in closely fought ridings.
Green Party leader Annamie Paul was in the riding of Toronto Centre today, expressing her dismay at the way other campaigns have gone negative.
It is very dispiriting because I believe that people in Canada expect more from us at this time.
Paul says the real issues are getting lost as the other parties try to score partisan points. She says the Green Party will push for more collaboration in Parliament. And don't forget, our Canada Vote special is this Monday. The entire team will be here live. Rosie, Adrienne, Andrew, Ian, and David Cochran for election night results and analysis. It all kicks off at 6:30 p.m. Eastern on CBC News Network, CBC Television, and Radio 1. You can also stream it on CBC Gem. Mark your calendars. Today, thousands of Western University students turned a difficult first week of classes into a massive walkout in London, Ontario. They were demanding the school do more to keep women safe. As Ellen Morrow tells us, scores of sexual assault allegations have surfaced in recent days.
A palpable anger gripping Western University. Thousands of students walking out of class to march in the blazing hot sun. Their message clear.
It's disgusting what happened, and we should all feel safe in our home.
It upsets me that the people at this school don't feel safe. I don't feel safe.
What are we doing? Protect our campus!
This show of strength and solidarity comes after 4 women told police they were sexually assaulted at Western in recent days. Police are also investigating allegations that female students were drugged and assaulted at a residence building last Friday.
Last Friday night was kind of absolute chaos.
This volunteer mentor says Western needs to do more to keep students safe.
It was really shocking to start seeing drunk girls being dragged home by sober guys, and we had to intervene with that. Or seeing girls who were passed out or almost unconscious.
No more silence! Police say no formal complaint has been made related to the residence building allegations, but that has not lessened the trauma for students.
Most survivors we know don't formally report. They may disclose to a family friend, to some close relative, but they're not going to formally go through those processes. But what I think is really important is this has grown even bigger than that one moment in time.
Surveyed 3 years ago, more than 71% of Western students said they had experienced sexual harassment on campus. At Ontario universities overall, that number was 63%.
All the outrage on campus this week has prompted a response from the university. It's unveiled an action plan that it says will make the campus safer.
Starting Monday, resident students will undergo training on sexual violence and consent. Some of it aimed at male students specifically, says Western's president.
That's one of the key places to try and change the course of treatment of respect for women.
So much pain just days into the new school year. So many left feeling unsafe. Ellen Morrow, CBC News, London, Ontario.
Tonight, Alberta has hit a 4-month high in new COVID cases. The figure, 2,020, a peak not seen since early May. That's nearly half the new cases Canada-wide, over 5,000 today. The curve has swung up and down this month. Hospitalizations, though, have increased steadily from 1,300 at the start of September to just over 2,100 today. Those hospitalizations are compounding nurses' workloads, so much so that some have quit. And as Alison Northcott shows us, those left behind are demanding the provinces start hiring more.
Nurse Jennifer Philogène left her job in a Montreal ICU earlier this year. She says mandatory overtime, pandemic pressure, and a shortage of staff pushed her to her limit.
You end up doing a 12 or 16-hour shift. And then even then, you don't even know if after that 16-hour shift, if there's going to be enough staff to relieve your situation.
Now she teaches at a college and works with a private nursing agency that offers a more flexible schedule. Quebec is dealing with a critical shortage of at least 4,000 nurses. The Premier says many, feeling worn out, have left the sector in recent months.
Because we're missing some nurses, the remaining ones have to work harder.
He says the government is working on a plan and not ruling out financial incentives to bring nurses back. But the shortage is having an impact now. Earlier this week, this hospital's emergency room was forced to close for hours because it didn't have enough nurses. It's a problem across the country, and nurses' unions in several provinces held demonstrations today demanding government action.
To highlight the work situation that many nurses are working in, short staffing, increasing workloads that are absolutely untenable.
Never did I think that I would be experiencing the shortages that
we have right now. And never did I think that the level of care that we could provide to patients would be as low as it is.
Leading to the shortages, an aging population, an aging workforce, working conditions and wages, says this health economist.
Of course, COVID-19, you can understand, it comes on top of all of these factors. So it exacerbates the situation.
Nurses' unions say it will take better schedules, more support and financial incentives to keep more nurses from leaving. Alison Northcott, CBC News, Montreal.
Health officials in Newfoundland and Labrador held an unscheduled COVID-19 briefing today to announce the return of some health measures in the province.
Effective midnight tonight, the special measures orders requiring masks in indoor public spaces will be in effect.
Officials stressed the return of indoor masking will cut down on cases as the Delta variant continues to spread. The province also confirmed vaccine passports will become mandatory for recreational activities starting in October.
Today, I am very sad to report the death of a young child under the age of 10 due to COVID-19.
Officials in Ontario confirming the tragic death of a child due to COVID-19. Few details are being released, but the child is said to have had underlying health conditions. Ontario's Ministry of Health says this is the province's third death of a child under 10 associated with the virus. Vulnerable Americans, such as those older than 65 and others at high risk of illness, are being recommended for a third dose of COVID vaccine. As Vicadopia tells us, today, U.S. medical authorities debated making it available to everybody.
Since last month, daily deaths in U.S. hospitals from COVID-19 have doubled. Most are unvaccinated. Yet officials worry about breakthrough infections among the vaccinated. Today, Pfizer warned an FDA expert committee the risk from waning immunity is real, citing new trial data showing the vaccine gave more than 90% protection against getting COVID-19, but as months went by, that effectiveness went down. Yet over the same period, the vaccine was still highly effective against hospitalizations. Then there's the experience of Israel to consider, which scrambled to roll out booster shots after breakthrough cases.
We have seen in this fourth wave hospitalizations of people who are younger than 60 years old, some of them with mortality, who are doubly vaccinated and did not receive yet the third dose.
Everybody was in agreement with the poll.
In the end, the committee recommended a third Pfizer dose for those 65 and up, as well as high-risk groups, not for all eligible Americans as the Biden administration had wanted.
With the exception of the immunocompromised and long-term care, we don't see sufficient evidence to worry about this in Canada yet. I certainly have lots of older adults in my life who, believe you me, I'm keeping an eye on. I am not worried at all about them walking around with waning immunity.
One reason, researchers say Canada's delayed dosing approach has extended vaccine protection. So has mixing vaccines.
A more important priority is to get first shots into people who are still unvaccinated, both in Canada, in the US, and around the rest of the world, before you would need to give people these third shots.
The Public Health Agency of Canada says it's reviewing new data about vaccine protection, but that the evidence still shows vaccines can do more good in the unvaccinated. Vicadopia, CBC News, Toronto.
It's been a hot, dry summer in British Columbia, but that's about to change in a hurry.
Well, it's not pleasant. You just keep your head down and keep on plucking.
Up next, how a weekend of wet weather has some worrying about landslides. Plus, concerns around COVID-19 and pregnancy.
I didn't want my toddler to grow up without a mother if I got sick before the vaccine.
A little later, our panel of doctors on the risks of the virus and the myths about vaccine danger. Plus, a boost for books from an unlikely source.
What continues to surprise me the most is just seeing so many other content creators making TikToks about my book.
How TikTok is taking the publishing world by storm. We're back in 2.
So say you won, so say you all.
Yes.
Yes. With that, notorious millionaire real estate heir Robert Durst was convicted of first-degree murder in the death of his friend, Susan Berman. Durst's case became well known thanks to an HBO true crime series, which aired damaging admissions from him caught on an open mic.
This strike was taken in the earnest belief that it would prevent an imminent threat to our forces and the evacuees at the airport. But it was a mistake, and I offer my sincere apology.
A reversal from U.S. officials today, now admitting that a drone strike in Kabul last month killed 10 innocent people. It was originally said the target was an Islamic State extremist, but an investigation found it was an aid worker that was killed, along with 9 members of his family, including 7 children.
Our department has increased staffing today and is fully activated for tomorrow. So you will notice an increased police presence around the city.
Washington, D.C. bracing for a planned protest tomorrow in support of those who stormed the U.S. Capitol on January 6. Fencing has gone up in the area as hundreds are expected to take part in the Justice of J6 rally. Officials say 100 National Guard members will be assisting Capitol Police. Back here at home, after a summer of scorching heat and drought, parts of British Columbia are now getting rain. A lot of it. In fact, some places could see an entire summer's worth just this weekend. And as Susanna De Silva explains, with it comes the potential for new trouble.
Rain in Vancouver isn't a surprise, but not this much.
Well, it's not pleasant. You just keep your head down and keep on plucking.
Especially when your job seems to have switched from summer drought maintenance to early fall cleanup on a dime.
Well, I was hoping a little bit light rain to keep things going, but yeah, I wouldn't mind having some more sun.
From June 1st to September 1st, Vancouver saw 74 millimeters of rain. It could see 80 millimeters today alone.
The first one is always memorable, and the flooding, the localized flooding, the troughs, the storm drains, perhaps even safety concerns around trees, losing their limbs.
Experts say this summer's extreme heat and drought have left trees weakened, increasing the possibility of power outages.
The types of vegetation we have here, much of it isn't used to those dry conditions. And we're also seeing now this rainfall, which could loosen that drought-ridden soil.
And this summer's fires can dramatically reduce how much rainfall is absorbed, leading to mudslides below. It happened in August of 2018 in Cache Creek after a large wildfire the summer before. And in the Caribou region, a history of fires created slides and washed roads out this past spring. But there are simple things residents can do to protect their properties.
They themselves need to be aware of the risk and how they can mitigate that risk through simple things on their own property, keeping culverts clean, keeping ditches opened, and potentially creating small earth berms.
Already the highway near Lytton, the community destroyed by fires this summer, was shut down this afternoon because of the risk of slides. And with meteorologists predicting a stormier and wetter La Nina season, this may just be the beginning of a challenging fall and winter. Susanna De Silva, CBC News, Vancouver.
When Canadians vote on Monday, the parties will be focused on turning out their supporters.
So you have a score, whether you're a supporter, whether you're a non-supporter, or whether you're in the middle.
Up next, how the campaigns use data to get you to the polls. Plus,
the biggest issues that had hurt me and hurt my entire community was uncovering the children in Kamloops.
Why many young Indigenous voters say the issues important to them aren't being taken seriously enough on the campaign trail.
Voted for your father, voted for you.
Just 3 days left until Canadians elect a new government. Candidates are out in full force, making their final pitches to voters and ensuring their supporters get to the polls. With such a short election period, there's been no time to lose. That's why it's been so crucial for campaigns to know which voters to target. And that requires lots of data. David Common has a closer look at what parties know about us.
You want to start over in the 100s?
For political candidates, reaching out directly has always been a challenge.
Hello!
So many people, too little time.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
And here in Port Moody, Coquitlam, the ground game is on. It's a tight race now. Last election, the closest in the entire country.
That was so close. I know, 153 votes.
So tight, the Conservatives barely eked out a victory. The NDP a close second, the Liberals a close third.
Okay, thank you, bye-bye.
So everyone now is fighting for every single vote. But look closely. The NDP candidate is not hitting every house. So how do they know who's most likely to engage with their message? Well, all three major national parties have vast databases. The most advanced include the Conservatives with their Medallion and the Liberals with the Liberalist database. They certainly know who and where you are and if you voted last election.
So a political knock at the door, a canvasser, could actually be a data gathering operation.
Well, it is a data gathering operation, and in most circumstances, they want to know whether you're going to vote and who you're going to vote for. One can assume that the data operations made a difference here.
Yeah.
Colin Bennett of the University of Victoria is considered one of the country's foremost experts on how political parties use data to target voters.
They profile the electorate and they score the electorate. So you have a score, whether you're a supporter, whether you're a non-supporter, or whether you're in the middle.
They do this by understanding who supports them. Let's say women in their 30s with small kids and a history for being concerned about the economy. They then build a look-alike model, targeting people with those characteristics in a specific area, even down to the street, using data scraped by specialty firms and public sources. Big data first became a big deal in the 2008 Obama campaign. Trump had a vast data operation in 2016 where political organizations had hundreds of data points for nearly every single voter, from address to income to buying habits to social media posts.
It's just fundamentally more efficient. When I first got started in campaigns, there was no such thing as a database that you could look up on your computer and go talk to voters.
Democrat Michael Farias is a U.S. campaign veteran, and in a tight race and a quick campaign in Canada, data, he says, could be key.
In an election like that that's really quick, you're looking at the people who are most likely to vote, who have had a history of voting, and that's who you want to, identify first and say, if I'm a candidate, how many of these people right off the bat do I think are likely to have an affinity towards me?
But it can work the other way too. Figure out who supports your rival and try to convince them to change their mind. Lots of us have been targeted by those messages.
They're pointing fingers and saying what somebody else has done and bad, bad, bad.
They're trying to scare you from supporting someone else.
Correct. Instead of being solution focused and shifting to here is the platform we are working with and here are some of the initiatives we want to take forward. Will you support us?
In the last election,
it happened in 2019 in Canada. Look at this Conservative ad, which targeted Facebook users who fit a certain profile. Written in Cantonese, it warns the Liberals legalize marijuana and hard drugs would be next. Same thing for the Liberals, who suggested the Conservatives would remove all gun control.
The ad can have an effect before the other side can really respond to it.
With vast data about people, there's always privacy questions. So would the party show us their data on us if we asked? No, we did ask. Only the NDP responded, telling us their data is collected via Elections Canada or through information which was voluntarily offered by Canadians who engage with us online. What do Canadians think about politicians with all this data about us?
Do you ever see ads for political parties or politicians? Yeah. Do you know that you actually could get targeted based on information they know about you?
No, I didn't know that. No.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
I feel like privacy issues for sure.
You know what, it's just not politics, right? I think it's just a reality. It's the technology, right?
But not everyone accepts that reality. There's an investigation now before the BC Privacy Commissioner insisting parties be forced to show what they have.
There's an extraordinary array of information that's potentially available to them.
Andrew Clement is both a privacy advocate and the applicant in the case.
I think it's kind of a Wild West in terms of a largely regulation-free arena.
With the race in Port Moody Coquitlam again so close, it's looking like anyone's guess. The Liberal team can use its data to identify and motivate potential supporters by phone. The Conservative candidate said she didn't have time for us to tag along with her campaigning, but her party, just like the Liberals and the NDP, do use data about voters to sharpen and focus their campaigns. Hey! And in a race as close as this one, that micro-targeting could make all the difference. David Common, CBC News, Coquitlam, BC.
Young Indigenous people make up one of the fastest growing demographics in the country, which is why party leaders have lobbied hard for their support this election. But many Indigenous youth remain skeptical, saying they've heard all the promises before. Omaira Issa shares some of those voices tonight.
Jamin Mike meticulously beads a bag for his dance regalia at Birdie's and Akamesis Cree Nation. The process connects him to his grandparents, both residential school survivors, and the memories of those who did not survive.
Biggest issues that had hurt me and hurt my entire community was uncovering the children in Kamloops.
Indigenous groups say hundreds of unmarked graves have been found at former residential school sites in Canada over the past few months, casting a long shadow over this election.
Bringing home our children, first of all, is one of the biggest issues that I feel needs to be addressed within this election.
He says Canada has a long way to go on its road to reconciliation with Indigenous people, something party leaders have pledged to work on. Mike says if he could meet with party leaders, he would ask them about concrete solutions on a number of issues, like addiction.
We buried a family friend from a fentanyl overdose. You know, we have families out there who are addicted. Where is the hope, and how can you, through your Western systems, address this?
In Whitecap, Dakota First Nation, Ali Bear is combing through the party platforms. Her priority, the safety of Indigenous women and girls.
We have, the missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls and Two-Spirit Plus inquiry. With that, there has been no action in regards to the calls to justice that have been made.
Cheyenne Harriet Jones wants other young Indigenous people to speak up about climate change, education, food security, and clean water for Indigenous communities.
And we are all treaty people, so we all need to stand up and take that time to vote.
Omaira Issa, CBC News, Regina.
With the fourth wave gripping many parts of the country, there are big concerns about the risk of COVID-19 to pregnant women.
I saw how sick other pregnant people were getting. All the information coming out showed how safe and effective the vaccine truly is.
Coming up, we'll get the facts from two doctors on COVID-19, pregnancy, and vaccines. Plus, a little later, how TikTok is becoming a big player in the publishing industry. Stay with us. Alberta's intense fourth wave of COVID-19 is hitting pregnant women particularly hard. One woman died earlier this week as ICUs in that province see a surge in unvaccinated pregnant women. That increased risk is why some women who are expecting have decided to get the shot.
I saw how sick other pregnant people were getting. All the information coming out showed how safe and effective the vaccine truly is. And I didn't want my toddler to grow up without a mother if I got sick before the vaccine.
I made a decision to get vaccinated while pregnant in my third trimester. Pregnant women should be more worried about the risks of getting COVID-19.
Health experts are urging pregnant women to get vaccinated, but some are still hesitant to do it because of anecdotal evidence about side effects. Here to tackle those concerns and so much more are Dr. Ileana Castillo, who is co-leading a national team studying COVID-19 in pregnant women, and Dr. Caitlin Dunn, the co-director of the Pacific Center for Reproductive Medicine. Hello to you both.
Hello, Asha.
Dr. Castillo, let's start with you. How has it been determined exactly that the COVID-19 vaccines are safe for pregnant women?
So, Asha, most of the data that we have that is very robust comes from what we call real-life data. So at least 150,000 women mostly in the United States, have got the COVID vaccine during pregnancy. And then researchers have looked at the rates of adverse events in those women who have got the vaccine and have compared those rates against rates of adverse events that were published before the pandemic, and as well against women who have chosen not to get vaccinated during the pandemic.
And Dr. Dunn, you know, a lot of people have fears that the vaccine could cause a miscarriage or damage the placenta. Can you talk me through that?
So this myth started with syncytians. These are natural proteins that occur in our body, and they help cells stick together. Like, for example, when the placenta needs to stick to the uterus in a growing pregnancy. And last year, a blog post claimed that a Pfizer employee was concerned that the COVID vaccine would create antibodies that would attack these syncytians because they're similar to the spike protein on COVID. Now, this is absolutely not true. These myths have been debunked both with looking at laboratory data that show there's no molecular similarity between syncytians and the spike protein, and as well with real world data. Like just this week, the New England Journal of Medicine published a study showing no increased risk of miscarriage in women who got the vaccine before pregnancy or during pregnancy.
Well, it's good to see there is science to back it up, right? Dr. Castillo, what are the risks for unvaccinated pregnant women, you know, if they get COVID-19? And what about the unborn baby as well?
We have very solid evidence to document that COVID-19 infection increases the chances of hospital admission and admission to intensive care unit when we compare the risk that people of the same age that pregnant women would have in comparison. And what we know is that risk with the variants of concern is even worse than the risks that we knew COVID could pose to pregnancy a year ago. For the unborn baby, the biggest consequence is the risk of prematurity that can come with developmental consequences for the babies because they are born too early. And there is emerging research that also knows that even for women who have a very mild COVID infection, the placenta may fail to develop properly.
So it can be a dire situation indeed. Dr. Dunn, we heard from a viewer who wanted to know, is there any evidence that the COVID-19 vaccine can cause infertility?
Yeah, I have heard concerns from my patients and on social media about infertility and about changing periods. And right now, there is no plausible biological mechanism nor any research that suggests that the COVID vaccine causes infertility or that it changes periods with any enduring or harmful consequence. Now, it's important to realize that vaccine manufacturers don't necessarily ask about changes in periods when they do their phase 3 trials. And these are thoughtful questions. Women deserve answers. And fortunately, just this week, the NIH announced funding to study this problem. So we will get more information, but it will take some time.
Yeah, and that's the thing here, right? It's taken months to receive answers on how these vaccines may affect women's health. Dr. Castillo, final question here. What can drug manufacturers do, you think, to give women that peace of mind?
Drug manufacturers and funders, so those that actually give money to the drug manufacturers, like, for example, Sept, they can change the order in which they do their studies to actually include pregnant women in research. So both drug manufacturers, but very importantly, the funders, need to make it a condition that pregnant patients are included. So when the vaccines are licensed and come out, we can give patients the information they need to make decisions.
Makes a lot of sense. So much worthwhile information. Thank you so much, Dr. Castillo, Dr. Dunn.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
TikTok is not the first thing that comes to mind when you think about the literary world, but that doesn't mean authors and publishers aren't taking notice of a new trend.
It's made us rethink an overall publishing strategy, and it's getting us to think in real time, respond in real time.
Up next, how the social media giant is becoming a power player in the world of books. Social media giant TikTok is having an impact in some unlikely places. The video sharing app is helping draw audiences to books. Tashana Reed looks at how TikTokers are helping put books on bestseller lists, and they're influencing the publishing world.
Morgan Book's ice cream cake videos first got her noticed on TikTok. With 2.8 million followers, now she's added her love of reading to the mix.
Ice cream cakes and reading, pretty much my two favorite things. And then I had authors reaching out. They were like, hey, can you put my book cover on a cake and kind of talk about it?
She's part of a growing online community of content creators on TikTok, highlighting authors and books using the hashtag BookTok.
I can just put my phone right in there and film.
One of her posts featuring a new title racked up more than 4 million views and boosted sales for the author.
I would say the main thing is catching your reader's attention.
The BookTok hashtag, now so popular, celebrities are trying to cash in.
From the BookTok section at Barnes and Noble.
Even traditional book publishers are taking a page.
It's made us rethink an overall publishing strategy, which again was so long-tailed before, and it's getting us to think in real time, respond in real time.
Penguin Random House says the impact on sales has been tremendous, and not just on new titles. One of its books, published in 2014, hit the bestseller list last summer after trending on BookTok. Since then, the publisher has been collaborating with content creators.
Those creators were connecting with an audience, and things were growing and growing and growing.
Oh my God! One of the company's Canadian books saw a jump in pre-sales of 600%, thanks to the platform. And retailer Indigo credits BookTok with a boost in profits in the first quarter of this year. Independent book author Maggie Ray is seeing the benefits too.
Sales are rolling in, and what continues to surprise me the most is just seeing so many other content creators making TikToks about my book.
I don't want to lose you. It's marketing she didn't have to buy. A simple hashtag and creative videos giving a boost to an entire industry. Tashana Reed, CBC News, Toronto.
Pretty cool. Next on The National, 3 endangered J-pod orcas are pregnant.
It's really exciting to, the southern residents are iconic on our coast.
This exciting moment is our moment after the break. The population of the endangered southern resident killer whale is only 74. But now researchers in British Columbia are saying not 1, not 2, but 3 J-pod killer whales are pregnant and could be ready to pop at any moment. The hopeful discovery is our moment tonight.
J-pod is a southern resident killer whale pod that's on the endangered species list. These drones are being used to actually look at body conditions of killer whales, and it can tell us a lot about also pregnancy, which is really exciting. Just by looking at the different body ratios of animals. When you're a researcher looking from a boat, you can take photos of killer whales, but you don't know they're pregnant. But using a UAV or drone, you're able to actually see what's going on. And cats are usually born in the winter time, so right around now, these females are very pregnant. J36, J37, and J19. So all 3 in J-pod. It's really exciting to, the southern residents are iconic on our coast. We have whale watching. We have just, people in BC ferries enjoy looking at them. They're pretty much on signs and billboards. The southern residents are iconic for us. And we're really hoping, that there's some survival for the new calves ahead.
What's really interesting is the expectant mothers need their space. So in Canada, all vessels are required to keep at least a 400-meter distance from all killer whales in southern BC coastal waters. Here's hoping for smooth deliveries for them all. That is The National for September 17th. I'm Asha Tomlinson. Good night.